Welcome to UMBC's Master of Arts in Education Open House. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. So I want to introduce you first to the MAE team, and then we'd like to hear from you as well. I am Jerry Frick. I'm the MAE Director and also the Coordinator for our Mathematics Education programs. Tracy Irish is our STEM and Science Education Coordinator for the MAE program. Deborah Karaoke is the Computer Science Education Program Coordinator. Gene Schaefer is a professor in our education department, and he works both in the MAE program and in other education programs. He normally teaches our teacher research and our teacher leadership type courses. Rita Williams is our MAE program coordinator, and she handles all the back end administrative types of processes. She'll help you with application processes, registration processes. She's your first point of contact for any communication through university systems as well. Okay, so our MAE program is 36 credits, which equals 12 courses, which are 3 credits each. The 12 credits are separated as such. There are 5 core education courses. Themes in those education courses include teacher research, teacher's leadership, using data to form instruction. Those are just a few of the themes that I wanted to highlight tonight. You also are required to take one additional MAE course, which is approved by your advisor, and those courses usually are a high-level pedagogy course that is infused with the content area. So, for example, it could be culturally responsive instruction in one of our content areas, mathematics, computer science, or STEM. It could also be, like I mentioned before, a higher level pedagogy type of course that's based in the content area. We also have 6 content courses in our MAE programs. Those content courses, of course, will be aligned with the content area you select for your program, so computer science, mathematics, or STEM. And all of our content courses are infused with pedagogy as well. So I like to think of it as you're teaching as you're learning the coursework, you're also a teacher thinking about how is this being taught to me? How am I learning this material? How would I teach this to my students? What difficulties or questions might my students have as they're learning this material? What methods would I use, etc.? And I really think that that's just part of us being teachers, is we're thinking about those things alongside of learning the content or deepening our content knowledge in those areas. So some highlights of our MAE program that we wanted to share with you. The program is fully online. We started teaching online in the MAE program 5 years ago, so this is not new for us. Our programs have a strong content focus, which, as I've mentioned before, half of our program is content courses, and our other courses in the education core and the education elective are all based in that content area. So any projects that you're doing in those courses relate to your content area. So if you're writing a literature review, you're writing a literature review in your chosen topic in your content area. So it relates specifically to what you're doing in the classroom. We also focus on equity in education and culturally responsive instruction. Those are huge themes throughout our program. Other focuses of our program include interdisciplinary approaches, inquiry and project-based teaching and learning, and technology. All of those things are infused into our program throughout the courses, and we feel that those are really strong highlights of our program. So the cost of the MAE degree, some of you may have seen this information already, but we also wanted to share it here. It's $12,000 for the entire master's degree, and that breaks down into $1,000 for each of our 12 3-credit courses. There are no additional university fees. After this webinar, you will be emailed a code for the application fee waiver, and students in our program are responsible for textbooks and course materials, but as we know, we're working with teachers. We do try to keep the cost of those textbooks and course materials quite low. We do our best with that. So I wanted to once again give you the contact information for our program. We are all listed there with our emails. Email is the best way to reach us right now since we're all off campus. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see our MAE website. Some of you may have found us already through that, which is mae.umbc.edu. Again, that's mae.umbc.edu. mae.umbc.edu, which has lots of information about our program and also how to apply to the program if you're interested.
Hi, welcome to the MAE STEM session of our MAE Open House. I'd like to first introduce myself. My name is Tracy Irish. I am a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Education at UMBC, and my career to being a part of the education department started with me being a scientist working in research on cancer, vaccine development, as well as several other things with organisms from oysters and lobsters to rats and monkeys. From my work in research science, I went into science education. I was a program approval specialist at the Maryland State Department of Education for many years, where I worked with higher ed across the state with teacher preparation programs, trying to make them stronger in terms of math and science for all teachers. Now that I'm at UMBC, I work in the science and STEM MAE programs. My research interest in science education, of course, are in STEM education and also in professional learning communities and STEM. And so I'm really happy to share some information about the STEM MAE. The STEM MAE is a very cross-curricular, cross-disciplinary approach to teaching and learning. And why it attracts me so much is I feel that as a research scientist, I didn't work by myself, nor did I work with only scientists. For every problem to be solved, I feel like we need people from all different disciplines to help solve problems. That's just the way the world works. So I really like the way that STEM allows us to show this to our students. Teachers from across all disciplines have been successful in my program. Of course, there have been science, math, engineering, and technology teachers, including teachers that do Project Lead the Way curriculum at their high school and middle schools. But also I've had teachers in the arts, both music and art and dance. I've had many social studies teachers and history teachers, and it really just makes it a very nice, diverse group of teachers working together in the classes to learn all about teaching and learning. So the program is for pre-K through 12 teachers. All are welcome. And we also, in the STEM MAE, try to have a very practical approach so that some of the assignments you will be working on redesigning some of your lesson plans with some of the strategies that you've learned, or working with your peers and your courses to figure out how to solve problems that you're having in your own classroom. The core courses were mentioned earlier on in the introductory section, but I just wanted to go and tell you about the exact courses. So there's assessment and evaluation, research designs and education, where you're really learning the fundamentals about educational research, seminar in the study of teaching, which is you actually carry out an action research project in this course. Then there's teacher leadership, which is a twofold course. One is that you learn about being a teacher leader but staying in your classroom. So you learn about giving professional development, about the skills and characteristics of a teacher leader as a department chair. But also this course helps you really to define and to plan out your final capstone project for the next course, the Advanced Instructional Leadership Practicum. This final capstone course is all about implementing a STEM education strategy that affects not only your students and you in your classroom, but also goes beyond, and you work with other teachers, or some teachers have even worked school-wide on some STEM initiative. The final core course, which in the intro section was counted as this extra MA course, is a culturally responsive teaching course. And this is so very important today as our world becomes more and more diverse, to learn about our teaching strategies, making sure that nothing we do and nothing that's set up in the environment of our classroom that doesn't make learning a successful place for all students. So these are the core courses that you will find across all MAE programs, not just STEM, but also the computer science and the mathematics MAE. The specific courses to the STEM MAE are the design world, where we really look at what is STEM, what are the connections between science, technology, engineering, and math in the entire world, and then how are they related in our educational world, and how that can make an impact on the way we teach and learn. The Active Science Math Classroom talks about the pedagogical strategies of really helping learners help take part in their own learning, but also having that very engaging, very inquiry-based classroom. And this is even more important right now as we're learning to figure out how to have more active learning within these online courses. And those are also a component of that course. Experimental design is just learning more about the design of an experiment that are really necessary. And I think it's something that our students should know and our teachers should, in terms of even the smallest experiment should have controls as well as variables. And we get into that with a STEM perspective. The next two classes, you'll see that they both have the word the environment on them. And nobody's in this program to become an environmental scientist or to teach environmental science, but they've got a unique approach to them. The environment is looked at in regards to the environmental literacy standards. So these are all about the big picture concepts that I feel that every citizen needs to know about. So we look at natural disasters. We look at climate change. We also look at some of those products that we use in every household, such as the detergents that we use, the pesticides or fertilizer we might use on our lawn, and how that affects our environment, which is really important since we're right here, all of Maryland. Everything that we do, everything that ends up in our streams ends up in the Chesapeake Bay. And then the second course that follows the environment is environmental engineering design, where we really look more specifically at engineering, but also engineering as a way to help solve those environmental natural disasters and issues related to climate change. The final content course for the STEM MAE is Emerging Technology and Their Applications, and this is really looking at the big picture of technology, not just information technology that we use through our computers, but all of the different technologies and their applications and how they apply to not only the environment, but every part of our world and our day-to-day interactions. For those of you that are elementary certified, it's important to know that the STEM MAE program is an improved program through the Maryland State Department of Education for the STEM Instructional Leader endorsement. So if you are elementary certified and you complete this program, you will be automatically applicable to get the endorsement on your certificate for the STEM Instructional Leader pre through 6. I wanted to just review a little bit the costs that were talked about in the information session. All of the courses are $1,000, but this only applies to the courses within the program, the 6 core courses and the 6 MAE STEM specific courses. You will be a graduate student at UMBC, and you may want to consider taking a course outside of the program. But it's important that you know that you can take those courses, but that will be at the normal rate of around $1,900 for tuition for a 3-credit course, but also with the other fees that will be associated with it. For our courses in the STEM MAE program, you won't be able to register without receiving a code. And that's how we know with that code and the course that you're in that you'll be guaranteed for that $1,000 per course tuition. And really the only other fee that you're going to have for a course is going to be a textbook. All of the tools that we're going to be using online will be through Blackboard Collaborate, Blackboard including Collaborate, as well as many other software tools that are available. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about the STEM MAE program that I didn't cover tonight. You can call me on my office phone, on my cell phone, or email me at tirish1@umbc.edu. If you have general information about the tuition or the application requirements, you should contact Rita Williams, and her email is ritaw@umbc.edu. Thank you for coming and hearing about the STEM MAE program, and I hope to see you in the future.